Hey, Coach, I'm just kind of curious how refreshing it is for you to get back to coaching, at more of the ground level instead of the macro level. It's been a while since you've actually called plays in a game.
I've been really fortunate in my playing and coaching career to really enjoy every role that I've been in. Whether it's been a backup player, a number three guy, a backup quarterback, I've started games, position coach, coordinator, head coach. There really has never been any role that I've had that I haven't really tried to embrace and try to grow and develop in. And that's really my mentality now. As the offensive coordinator, obviously a lot of responsibility, big picture responsibility on the offensive side of the ball, but also some hands-on coaching opportunities. And, when you're a head coach, you try to do those same things. Obviously you're involved, with the comings and goings and the functioning of the entire football team. But even when you're in that role, I always felt it was important to get involved in coaching guys individually, technically and fundamentally, and certainly getting involved in conversations with the coordinators, talking about schemes. So, every person on a team has a different role. And my experience has been, dive in and embrace what your role is and do it to the best of your ability.
Can you tell me when the last time you actually did call a game was?
Yeah, I think it was 2012 was the last time we called, and we had, a couple different, coordinators, play callers since then. Scott Linehan and Kellen Moore, guys who came in and did it for us. And but again, as a head coach, you want to be involved in all aspects of your team and all three sides of the ball, if you will. And certainly was still involved with the offensive side of the ball, even as Scott and Kellen were calling the games.
Thank you.
Schwartz.
Hey, Jason.
How you doing?
Good, good. When you go into a situation like this where you have a center who has never played a game before at that position, hasn't had any preseason games, do you have to do things to help him out? Maybe give the guard some of the, checks at the line situation, or is there anything you can do for a guy like Nick Gates to help him because this is a new position for him?
Nick's done a great job, as has Spencer Pulley. So those guys have been the ones, working at the center position for us this week. And, that competition throughout training camp has been good for us. And those guys have embraced their reps and their opportunities playing in there. So, we'll get those guys ready, and really everybody across the board. That's what you're trying to do all week long, get them ready to play and function as well as they can, regardless of their experience level. And that not only applies to the offensive line, but everybody, throughout our team. And obviously it's a new system for us, and trying to get everybody on the same page, trying to maximize our opportunities to work together. It applies to everybody throughout the offense.
Thank you. Well, hypothetically, if you would have to go with a new center, can you help a new center in some ways on the sideline?
Yeah, I think that's what you're trying to do with all your players, as you go during the week in terms of your preparation. And then certainly for the 3 hours on game day, you want to make sure you're communicating with them and getting them into the best situations, whether it's responding to something that happened or something that's going to happen in a ball game. So you try to prepare as best you can and then get ready to adjust. Communication is a big part of it. In relation to the offensive center position, obviously that's a leadership position on the offensive line. So those guys have to be great communicators, do a great job identifying the front, potentially the linebacker, Mike ID, if you will. Those guys, working together up front, working with the quarterback. That's a big part of playing offensive football at a high level.
Thank you.
Bruce Beck.
Jason, hope you're well. Do you think you have enough weapons, enough components in this offense going into the season?
We're excited about this group. Obviously it's been a very different and challenging offseason for everybody in pro football. But our guys embraced every experience we've had, starting back in the spring with our Zoom meetings. And then once we got together in training camp. So excited about the group that we have. It's a mix and a blend of some guys who have some experience, and then we have some young guys. And, the common theme is that everybody's new together. And it's a new system, but guys have worked hard to learn it, to understand it, understand the X's and O's, but beyond that, the nuances. And really the way you grow as a player and as a unit, as a team, is just having experience together. And again, without preseason games, that becomes a challenging situation, but we did have scrimmages. We did have training camp practices, and their approach from day one has been outstanding. So excited to work with this group, excited to see them play, really proud of how they've worked up to this point.
Good luck, Jason.
Thank you.
Zach.
Hey, Jason. Earlier, Patrick Graham said that everything that he calls on defense is a reflection of the vision of Joe Judge. I was wondering if you kind of feel the same way as the offensive coordinator, that you're enacting his vision, and how do you like envision that dynamic kind of playing out on Monday night for the first time?
Yeah, I think that's a great way to say it. You know, we have a vision for our program here with the Giants. You have a vision for your football team, the kind of guys you want to have on your team, what the team is made up of. And then you have a vision for, you know, how you're going to win games and what that looks like on offense and defense in the kicking game, and then how those complement each other, and how you play complementary football each week to try to win a ball game. You have a vision for how you want to play that game. Then you have to be able to adjust as the game goes on. So, you know, I think a lot of this comes back to just the core values that you have as coaches, and making sure those values are aligned in terms of how we're building our program, how we're building our team, the kind of guys we want on our team, and how that reflects schematically. So, you know, that stuff started with, you know, the interview process back before we all got hired, and what we believe in and what we value. And then it starts to get enacted when you get together. And that's been the process we've gone through since all the way back in February. And that continues, and it continues in different environments. Again, whether it's over Zoom, whether it's a training camp practice or a scrimmage, and now into the season.
Thanks, Jason.
Lombardo.
Hey, Jason, how's it going?
Going great. How you doing?
Good, good. Kind of piggybacking off what Zach just asked you. You've now spent a whole summer with Joe Judge. Has there been anything that surprised you about him moving up to this new role as a head coach for the first time? And you've been a head coach in this league for a long time yourself. Is there any advice that maybe you can give him going into his first game in his first year?
No, it's just been a great experience for me to work for Joe. Great respect for him from afar. You know, a lot of people that I know who have been around him just said such great things about him. And that was a big draw for me coming to New York and taking the position that I have. And it's been great to get to know him. Again, going back to the vision of the program, vision for the football team, you know, just understanding what that is, having conversations with him about that and what we value together as a coaching staff and as a football team. Those are really important. I think he's done a great job outlining that for all of us and getting everybody on the same page. Alignment in an organization is critical. Everybody on the same page, from ownership all the way through the organization. You know, personnel people, coaching staff, players, staff people, getting everybody on the same page. And that's such a big piece of having success. So we've talked a lot about that. I've learned a lot from Joe about that. And we've tried to craft that to help build our program and our football team. And in terms of advice, I have no advice to give. It's just been fun working for him and trying to understand, you know, how we want to build this team and then doing it together. And I've really enjoyed every minute of it.
We got time for two quick ones. Tom Rock and Jordan. Tom Rock.
Jason, I do have a quick one. Yeah, when you were a backup quarterback, the preseason games, those were your times to shine. For a lot of the guys, that's really the only time they get to work on the field. How do you get Colt McCoy ready just in case now, and how did you do it throughout training camp?
Yeah, you know, again, it's the situation that we're all in. Everybody across the world, whatever your field of endeavor is, these are different and challenging times. So something we've talked about right from the start is, you know, a lot of people talk about, you know, you have to somehow find a way to get comfortable being uncomfortable. You know, our experience is the people who are best at what they do, they thrive when they're uncomfortable. And that's what we've tried to do. These are uncomfortable and challenging situations, but at every situation, every turn, we've tried to maximize our opportunity and thrive and be our best. And that's how it applies to a backup player like Colt. You know, sure, we'd rather have preseason games. We'd rather have reps, but this is the situation that we're in. We can't lament otherwise. We just have to go to work and take advantage of it, and talk about a guy who's a pro, a guy who comes in, is prepared, is ready to go, is an experienced player, but he has a young mind. He wants to learn and understand what we're asking him to do. And he's really done an outstanding job. So you maximize the opportunities that you do have. He's certainly done that. Cooper Rush has done that. And hopefully those guys will be ready if called upon.